Hey everyone, welcome back to Who Died Today. Today we remember the notable people who passed away today and over the past few days. From actors and musicians to sports legends and public figures, the world has lost several unforgettable names. Stay with us as we look back at their lives, achievements, and lasting legacies. Let's begin. Number 5. Jennifer Harmon, American actress. Now, we turn to the world of American theater and television. We remember Jennifer Harmon, the talented and deeply admired American actress whose powerful performances on Broadway and daytime television earned her the respect and love of the entire entertainment industry for more than 5 decades. She sadly passed away on May 9, 2026, in New York City at the age of 82. Leaving behind a legacy of 21 Broadway productions, 2 landmark soap opera roles, and a lifetime dedicated entirely to the art of performance. Let that number sink in for a moment. 21 Broadway productions. Most actors dream of one. Jennifer Harmon did it 21 times. She was born on December 3, 1943, in Pasadena, California. And from the very beginning, this woman was built for the stage. She did not stumble into acting. She ran toward it. Her Broadway debut came in 1965, in You Can't Take It With You. She was just 21 years old. And from that night forward, she never looked back. But here is what makes Jennifer Harmon's story truly extraordinary. She was not just a performer. She was a professional's professional. Throughout her career, she served as an understudy for some of the most legendary actresses in entertainment history. Think about that for a second. When Stockard Channing couldn't go on, Jennifer Harmon stepped in. When Judi Dench needed a cover, Jennifer Harmon was ready. Jessica Lange, Blythe Danner. These are icons. These are names written into the history books of American theater. And Jennifer Harmon stood quietly beside every one of them. Ready, prepared, and brilliant. That is not a small thing. That is a career built on absolute mastery of the craft. Television audiences knew her face too. In the mid-1970s, she exploded onto daytime TV screens across America. Her portrayal of Kathy Craig in One Life to Live from 1976 to 1978 was nothing short of electrifying. The character was a villain. And Jennifer played her with such magnetic, chilling power that she earned a Daytime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series in 1978. Before that, she had starred as Chris Kirby in How to Survive a Marriage on NBC between 1974 and 1975. Her television appearances kept coming year after year, decade after decade. Guiding Light, Dallas, Saint Elsewhere, Homicide, Life on the Street, The Good Wife. This woman never stopped working. She never stopped showing up. She never stopped giving audiences everything she had. And her final Broadway appearance in 2011 in Other Desert Cities proved that even at the end of her career, Jennifer Harmon was still one of the finest performers on any stage in New York City. The theater world is devastated. Tributes are pouring in from directors, fellow actors, and fans who grew up watching her work. Because Jennifer Harmon was not just talented, she was dedicated, she was disciplined. She was the kind of artist that the entire industry quietly depends on and almost never gives enough credit to. Today, that changes. Jennifer Harmon, 21 Broadway productions, Emmy nominated, irreplaceable, gone, but never forgotten. Number 4. Michael Pennington, British actor and theater director. We turn to the world of classical theater and British cinema. We remember Michael Pennington, the legendary British actor, director, writer, and Shakespearean master, whose extraordinary career in theater, film, and television earned him worldwide admiration and respect across 6 remarkable decades. He sadly passed away in May 2026 at the age of 82 at Denville Hall in London, leaving behind decades of unforgettable performances, more than 10 celebrated books, and a legacy that transformed the way the world experiences Shakespeare. Michael Pennington was born on June 7, 1943 in Cambridge, England. And from the very beginning, he was different. Most children dream of football matches or summer holidays. Michael Pennington fell in love with words, with Shakespeare, with the power of language to break a person open. He studied at the University of Cambridge, and when he stepped into professional theater, the stage recognized him immediately. He became one of the defining performers of the Royal Shakespeare Company. The Erse, one of the most respected theatrical institutions on the face of the earth. And there, Michael Pennington took on the roles that separate the good from the immortal. He played Hamlet. He played King Lear. He gave voice to the most complex, devastating, and magnificent characters ever written. Audiences sat in stunned silence watching him work. Because what Michael Pennington did on stage was not acting in the ordinary sense. It was something closer to truth. In 1986, he made a decision that would change British theater forever. Together with director Michael Bogdanoff, he co-founded the English Shakespeare Company. Their mission was bold. Their belief was simple. Shakespeare belongs to everyone. Not just to elite audiences in expensive seats. To everyone. The English Shakespeare Company toured Britain and the world. It brought bold, innovative, challenging productions to audiences who had never seen Shakespeare before. It introduced an entirely new generation to the greatest writer who ever lived. And it would never have existed without Michael Pennington. Beyond the stage, he built a remarkable screen career too. And here is something that surprises people every time. In 1983, Michael Pennington appeared in Return of the Jedi. Yes, Star Wars. He played Moff Gideon. The role was not large, but 40 years later, Star Wars fans around the world still know his name, still remember his face. Because great presence leaves a mark, no matter how brief the moment. In 2011, he portrayed British politician Michael Foot in The Iron Lady. And once again, he proved that whether the stage was the West End or a Hollywood production, Michael Pennington was simply extraordinary. He was also a writer of rare depth and intelligence. He authored more than 10 books on theater, Shakespeare, and acting. His celebrated work, Hamlet: A User's Guide, became essential reading for actors and directors around the world. His words on the page were as powerful as his presence on the stage. Colleagues, students, and fellow performers have described him as a mentor, a teacher, an inspiration, a man who gave everything he had to the art form he loved. Tonight, theaters across Britain are mourning. The Erse family is devastated. Shakespeare scholars are remembering a man who dedicated his entire life to keeping the greatest stories ever told alive. Michael Pennington, Hamlet, King Lear, Moff Gideon, Shakespearean master, author, teacher. The stage has lost one of its greatest voices, and the silence he leaves behind is deafening. Number 3. Craig Morton, American professional football quarterback. Now, we turn to the world of American football. We remember Craig Morton, the legendary NFL quarterback whose toughness, leadership, and jaw-dropping resilience made him one of the most remarkable competitors in the entire history of professional football. He sadly passed away on May 9, 2026, in Mill Valley, California at the age of 83, leaving behind a legacy that includes 2 Super Bowl appearances with 2 different franchises, a stunning comeback season that shocked the entire NFL, and a career that proved time and time again that champions are never finished. Born as Larry Craig Morton on February 5, 1943, in Flint, Michigan, Craig Morton was a football player to his core. He attended the University of California, Berkeley, and became one of the most talked about quarterback prospects in the country. The Dallas Cowboys saw enough. In 1965, they selected him 5th overall in the first round of the NFL draft. 5th overall. The Cowboys had enormous expectations for this man, and Craig Morton delivered. They called him Big Hummer, and every time he stepped onto that field, you understood exactly why. He was physical, he was fearless, he was built to compete under the most brutal pressure imaginable. In 1969, he became the Cowboys' starting quarterback. He led Dallas to Super Bowl V. Then came the 1971 season. Craig Morton helped guide the Dallas Cowboys to victory in Super Bowl V6, the franchise's very first Super Bowl championship. He was there. He helped build that dynasty. But then he was traded to the New York Giants in 1974. The Giants were struggling. The situation was difficult, and many people quietly began to wonder if Craig Morton's best days were over. They had no idea what was coming. In 1977, he joined the Denver Broncos, and what happened next became one of the greatest stories in NFL history. Craig Morton led those Broncos to a 12-2 record. He took Denver to their very first Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. Super Bowl C. The whole football world was stunned. This man they had written off, this quarterback they said was finished, had just delivered the impossible. That same season, he was named AFC Offensive Player of the Year, and NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and he made history that no one had ever made before. Craig Morton became the first quarterback in NFL history to start a Super Bowl for two different franchises. No one had ever done it. He did it. But perhaps the most powerful moment of his entire career came during the 1977 AFC Championship game. Earlier that same day, Craig Morton had undergone a medical procedure to drain blood from his leg. The pain was serious. Most men would have sat down. Craig Morton put on his helmet. He walked onto that field. He competed. He won. That moment alone tells you everything you need to know about who Craig Morton was. By the time he retired after the 1982 season, he had thrown for nearly 28,000 yards and 183 touchdowns. In 1988, he entered the Denver Broncos Ring of Fame. In 1992, the College Football Hall of Fame came calling too. The football world is mourning deeply today because Craig Morton was not just a quarterback, he was a warrior. He was proof that resilience is more powerful than talent, that refusing to quit is its own kind of greatness. Rest easy, Big Hummer. The game will never forget you. Number 2. Abe Foxman, American civil rights advocate. Now, we turn to the world of human rights, justice, and moral courage. We remember Abraham Foxman, the renowned American lawyer, Holocaust survivor, and one of the most powerful human rights advocates the modern world has ever known, whose lifelong battle against anti-Semitism, hatred, and all forms of discrimination made him a moral giant on the world stage. He sadly passed away on May 10, 2026, in Manhattan, New York, at the age of 86, leaving behind a legacy of nearly 30 years leading the fight against hate, a lifetime of standing up for the persecuted, and a personal story so extraordinary it is almost impossible to believe. Abraham Foxman was born on May 1, 1940, in what was then Poland, now part of Belarus. He was born into a world that wanted him dead. As a Jewish child during the Holocaust, survival was not guaranteed. It was a miracle. To protect him from Nazi persecution, his parents made an agonizing decision. They gave their child to a Polish Catholic nanny. She baptized him. She raised him as her own. She risked her life every single day to keep that little boy alive. And because of her courage, Abraham Foxman survived. He was eventually reunited with his parents when the war ended. He came to the United States. He carried those memories inside him for the rest of his life. The terror, the hiding, the silence, the loss. But Abraham Foxman did not let those memories break him. He let them fuel him. He studied law. He devoted his career to making sure that what happened to him would never happen to anyone again. In 1987, he became the national director of the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. He would hold that role for nearly 30 years. Under his leadership, the ADL became one of the most feared and respected anti-hate organizations on the planet. Foxman exposed anti-Semitism in boardrooms and governments. He confronted racism and violent extremism with facts, courage, and absolute conviction. He sat across the table from presidents, prime ministers, and world leaders, and he never flinched. But what made Abraham Foxman truly extraordinary was that his fight was never only for Jewish people. He understood something that many others refused to accept. Hatred does not stop at one group. Once it starts, it spreads. So he fought for black communities. He stood up for immigrants. He advocated for LGBTQ rights because he believed that justice is only real when it is justice for everyone. After retiring from the ADL in 2015, he refused to slow down. He served as vice chair of the Board of Trustees at the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York from 2016 to 2021. He wrote books. He gave speeches. He kept warning the world about what happens when hatred goes unchallenged. He never stopped, not until the very end. The world is quieter today without his voice. Political leaders, civil rights organizations, and people from every faith and background are mourning the loss of a man who lived as proof that one person, one determined, courageous, relentless person, can change the world. Abraham Abe Foxman, Holocaust survivor, defender of human dignity, moral giant. His fight is over, but his legacy will never be silenced. Number 1. Bonnie Tyler, Welsh singer and recording artist, and now, our final tribute of today, the story we have been building toward, the one that made the whole world stop. Now, we turn to the world of music. We remember Bonnie Tyler, the legendary Welsh singer whose raw, husky, utterly unmistakable voice became one of the most iconic sounds in the history of popular music, whose records sold more than 50 million copies worldwide, and whose songs have moved audiences to tears for over 4 decades. And today, we are not saying goodbye, because Bonnie Tyler is still here. But she came far closer to leaving us than any of her fans could bear to imagine. In May 2026, it was confirmed that Bonnie Tyler underwent emergency intestinal surgery. The world held its breath. Millions of fans across the globe stared at their screens, waiting, hoping, praying. And then came the news everyone needed to hear. She survived. Bonnie Tyler is alive. She is recovering. And the entire world exhaled. She was born as Gaynor Hopkins on June 8, 1951, in Skewen, Neath Port Talbot, Wales, a working-class girl from a small Welsh town. No connections, no shortcuts, no safety net, just a voice. A voice so raw, so powerful, so unlike anything the music world had ever heard, that it was simply impossible to ignore. She began performing in local clubs in the 1970s, grinding, working, believing. In 1976, Lost in France gave her a first taste of chart success. But in 1977, It's a Heartache changed everything. The song went top 5 in both the UK and the United States. International, overnight. The world leaned in and asked, who is this woman? But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared anyone for what came next. Total eclipse of the heart. If you were alive in 1983, you remember the first time you heard it. That piano, that build-up, and then that voice. It hit the entire world like a thunderclap, The song topped charts across the globe. It became one of the best-selling singles in the history of recorded music, and Bonnie Tyler became a superstar. Not just in Britain, not just in Europe, everywhere. That same year, her album Faster Than the Speed of Night made history. She became the first British female artist ever to debut at #1 on the UK albums chart. The very first. In a music industry dominated by bigger names, bigger budgets, and bigger machines, a Welsh girl with a broken voice that somehow sounded more powerful than anyone else's perfect one stood at the top. Over her career, Bonnie Tyler accumulated more than 50 million record sales worldwide. She received multiple Grammy and Brit Award nominations. In 1979, she won the Grand Prix International at the Yamaha World Popular Song Festival. In 2013, she stood on the Eurovision stage representing the United Kingdom. Still performing, still giving everything. In 2022, she was awarded an Emmy from the Queen in recognition of her extraordinary contribution to music. And in 2024, more than 40 years after Total Eclipse of the Heart, she released a brand new album in Berlin. Because Bonnie Tyler does not stop. She never has. So when the news broke in May 2026 that she had rushed into emergency surgery, the fear was real. Social media erupted. Fans from Wales, from the United States, from Germany, from Japan, from every corner of the world, all saying the same thing. Please, not her, not yet. And she heard them. Because Bonnie Tyler is not finished. She is recovering. She is resting that legendary voice. And somewhere, when the time is right, that voice will rise again. For millions of people around the world, Bonnie Tyler is more than a singer. She is a feeling. She is the sound of heartbreak and hope at the same time. She is proof that the most powerful thing in music is truth. Raw, unpolished, human truth. We are not saying goodbye today, Bonnie. We are saying, thank God you're still here. Get well soon. The world is waiting.